Hello, and thank you for coming back to my channel. I know it's been a while since I've done anything educational. I wanted to get back on the back into the habit of doing educational videos with something about radiation. I love talking about radiation, and I love teaching about radiation because radiation, there's just so many misconceptions about it. It's like punching ignorance right in the face. Very satisfying. So I have up here the symbol for radioactive hazard, and that is a little dot with three wide beams coming out of it. That's what it's supposed to represent. The little dot being the radioactive substance, and the beams that are coming out of it are invisible, harmful radioactive beams. And this is what most people think of when they think of radiation. They think of nuclear power, they think of nuclear weapons, nuclear waste, all sorts of things that have harmful radiation. But I want to show you that radiation isn't always harmful. Take a look at this picture. This picture is the electromagnetic spectrum. You see that thing on the bottom? That should look familiar. That should look familiar to everybody who went to grade school and everybody who's seen a rainbow, because that's the rainbow. That's it. It's full of all different kinds of visible light. And that spectrum of light is part of the spectrum of all radiation. See, radiation is a kind of wave or a beam, and every beam has its own wavelength, its own frequency. So the beams can be big, they can be short, they can be tiny, and if the beams are just the right size, they come out as light. So if you heat up a piece of iron, it'll give off light. If you look at the sun, don't actually look at the sun. Do not actually look at the sun. But if you did, you would see that it is beaming light, and that is radiation. The heat is radiating from that body, and part of that energy is coming off not as heat, but as light. And that's just the nature of radiation. Now, the part that is coming off as heat, a lot of that is infrared. Infrared radiation feels warm, and we're accustomed to absorbing heat and absorbing energy through infrared radiation. Infrared radiation is given off by almost every living thing, certainly every warm-blooded thing. And if you put on infrared goggles, you will see that every human being is a bright beacon of infrared light. When Yoda says luminous beings are we, he's not kidding. We all give off light. It's just light that we can't see. Bigger than infrared are the section for radio waves. Radio waves can be as big as people. They can be as big as your finger. They can be as big as a building. They can be huge. Radio waves carry information, and they do not harm people at all. Not the ones from radar, not the TV radio waves, not FM or AM or XM. None of these waves harm people. XM is not actually radio waves in the traditional sense. Pretty sure. So these are all radio waves, different kinds of radio waves. When the police have a radar gun, that is actually using radio waves. It's actually using radiation or light. It's actually using a kind of light that we can't see to measure how fast people are going. Pretty neat trick, huh? Radiation also includes ultraviolet radiation, which is kind of harmful. I mean, it can be harmful. If you stand outside in ultraviolet radiation, you will get sunburned. If you stand outside way too long, it'll sunburn you. But that's completely natural, and your body has defenses against that sunburn. As long as you don't stay outside in it too long, you're fine. X-rays, however, are a kind of radiation that's not found in nature very much, and they're small enough to get into our bodies. They usually don't harm people. You can block them with a lead shield. So that's why when you go to the doctors and get x-rayed, you get a lead shield on you. Also, they're not really harmful in small doses. So if you got one x-ray this year, you're fine. There is almost no way that could have done anything harmful to you at all. However, if you are in an X-ray room where there are X-rays flying around every day, you're going to want some more protection. That's why the nurse who does the X-rays always stands behind a shield. They stand behind a thick wall that blocks the X-rays. Next up is gamma rays. Gamma rays are the smallest on this list, and gamma rays, yes, gamma rays are very harmful. They are a very difficult kind of radiation to block, and that's the stuff we need to be so careful about. But if you look at gamma rays are only a small portion of this electromagnetic spectrum. They're only a small portion of the spectrum of all the different kinds of radiation. Of course, visible light is much smaller than the gamma rays section. Look at visible light; it's like this big. It's like 2 millimeters across. Gamma rays it's almost 15-20% of this whole spectrum. So that's that it is a significant part of radiation, the harmful kind, but the rest of it is useful, very useful, and very necessary and very needful. Without radiation, we would all be blind. Our radio towers wouldn't work, and we wouldn't have been able to do TV broadcasts back when we did TV broadcasts. Electromagnetic radiation is very useful stuff, and it is stuff that we all have to live with. And it is a part of our lives every single day. I hope you learned something about radiation doing this. I want to talk a little bit more about nuclear radiation next, the kind of radiation given off by decaying atoms and why that's so important. But for now, this is radiation, and I'm Lance Vader. Go ahead and subscribe if you like this video. Leave a comment if you learned something, or if there's something about radiation you'd like to learn. And remember, learn something new every day.